So I may have waxed somewhat philosophical in previous videos. What actually do I want? What would make England good again? And by extension the British Isles. I think before we can advance politically, we have to look very honestly at the year 2020 and onwards. And we have to look at what the politicians, their advisors and their henchmen did to us. In my view, it was totally un-British, as was the response from the people. Most people responded with craven cowardice. On the other hand, volunteers were called for to help people who were isolated, and 250,000 were wanted, and in the event 750,000 volunteered. So to me this demonstrated that there's a core of good people out there who are, willing to put themselves out and take a risk to help their fellow citizens. We've still got that, and to me that's one of the hopeful aspects of the British people, the English people, that there are still plenty of people like that. Now, what they did to us, in my opinion, was simply unlawful, unconstitutional, and it did not reflect the facts. And the point is that they persisted in it when it was obvious that it did not reflect the facts, that it was not, and they used the foul means to achieve it. They used intimidation, they used weapons grade propaganda against us, and they haven't answered for it. There's been an inquiry, but it seems to have been extremely friendly to them. And what I have often heard is, well, everybody else was doing it, so that's the excuse for us doing it. Well, no, it isn't. That is never an excuse. In many ways, this nation has led the world. In many ways. It's never just, oh well, everybody else is doing it, so we're going to do it. I mean, what kind of excuse would that be, even for the individual? No, if you're in that position, you should be looking at it on various levels, taking the advice, and then coming up with the best solution. Evidently they did not, and then they attempted to suppress, to do a damage limitation exercise to stop people speaking, and this carries on, the attack on free speech. So basically, until we've had these trials, I really see no possibility of a political way forward, because they will always feel that yes, they can get away with it and they'll go ahead. So we need to make it such that the penalties are meted out to those who broke the law, international law, however, pay a price which dissuades others in the future from attempting to go down that path. So that's sort of my condition of moving ahead politically. So if we can't really trust the politicians, because as a set, I would suggest that they are overshadowed by evil. That may seem a bit severe. In the past, we sort of just thought they're rather stupid, but even a stupid person would occasionally do something which came out in our favour. But it seems that every single thing they put their hand to basically works against us. So in passing, perhaps I might explain taxation. Basically, they demand money with menaces, and then they find various ways of giving it to their mates. And occasionally, it seems to benefit you. So, if you can think of a better definition of taxation, please leave it in the comments. We have to understand that we are being exploited. We are being milked. This is a human farm, and you know, we are the cattle because we're easily led, and we just don't answer back to the sheepdogs. Now, what's the way back from that? Well, as I've mentioned in earlier videos, basically we need to learn to stand above it, and the way we do that is through rationality, through thinking things through not reacting to everything, to not putting labels on everything. At my children's school, there used to be a thing about, part of the dress code was you could wear casual clothes but no logos and no sort of verbiage, because if you see someone in a t-shirt and it has something controversial, vulgar or whatever written on it, it's very easy to draw the conclusion that they are practically the t-shirt. And there could be the argument, well, there's no smoke without fire, and maybe that's a little part of them. Maybe it's just a joke, who knows? Maybe it's a dare, we don't know. But it's these superficial things that stop us looking deeper, that are a part of the problem. So we have labels like hard left and far right, and all the ones that came up in the course of 2020 and beyond. And we've had them in connection with the Ukraine war, we have them in connection with what's going on in the Middle East, we have them in connection with what's going on in America. And these cheap throwaway labels simply banish a whole load of people to places where we simply don't interact with them. And you might argue that the point about stereotypes is that they're often right, but it doesn't really get us anywhere, does it? We need to engage with people and basically set our own ego aside and simply try to discover why they think what they think. And very often, if you can enter into a civilized conversation with somebody, you'll find that they may surprise you, and some of what they believe may well resonate with you, or at least you'll be able to see the point of view. So in this country, politics works where we vote for the people we want, and if we don't get the government we wanted, well, we're not exactly delighted, but we don't go crazy. We just say, well, that's how we work it here, and it keeps transitions relatively peaceful. So to some extent we treat it as something of a game, and we look to the future when hopefully views will have changed and the other lot will get in. The only snag is that at the moment it doesn't seem to make any difference which lot gets in. I mean, it's just chaos and everything we don't want anyway. So then we look for another sort of, another force to come in and put things right for us. So it's a bit like the myth of Camelot and King Arthur. Okay, we'll just go back as far as the sword. He finds the sword, unites the kingdom, builds the castle, has the round table, justice and everything prevails. But no situation is forever static. Nothing is held, nothing just stays as it is. There's something in human beings that want change, or a certain, perhaps even self-destructive element. In the King Arthur legend, well, it's the love of Lancelot and Guinevere is what sets the ball rolling. It's a sort of snake in the Garden of Eden. And there you have another parallel, an ideal situation which turns bad. I mean, many stories basically rotate around this idea. Then there is the impossible quest, and all, you know, everybody dies basically, but the quest is achieved, the Grail is found, the king is restored, the bad guys are all dealt with, the king dies, and the sword is returned to the lake for future use. But does it not occur to people that it's up to them as well? It's not to seek it's not about seeking a saviour all the time. I mean, this is what's gone on in America. The saviour Trump, the saviour Elon Musk, and here it's the saviour Farage. But unless the general population improves its rationality or its way of dealing with things, we're never going to have any form of stability. I mean, even kings grow old, prime ministers grow old. It's all part of the human condition. But I wouldn't say an educated public, but a public that is capable of working things out rationally for itself and acting towards the good, the beautiful and true, is a very powerful way of ensuring at least reasonable conditions for everyone. This is why in the past I've sort of said, well, you know, just a 5% increase on average in the application of the golden rule would make a vast difference to society. I mean, if I said 50% or 100%, it'd be ridiculous. No one could do it. It's unattainable. Well, it's like the quest for the Grail in a sense. Everybody would die trying. There's no need to. We don't need to. It doesn't need to improve that much. We just need to do what is modestly attainable, and things will improve quite considerably. And then there's nothing to stop things from progressing from that. So what I'm sort of saying is, what do people want? Do they want to return to some sort of previous age, which they think, which in their minds is perfect, or some ideal sort of future? It's not really, it doesn't really exist, it's a fantasy. I sort of hate to say that in a way, but in this context, I think that's how we have to view it, that the world is not perfect, we're not going to get perfection, but we can get something that's pretty damn good. And all we have to do, all of us, is up our game just a little bit. Thanks for watching.